Hi guys, welcome to the Unpopular Opinion. I'm Kemi,
Claire, Prue,
and we're real,
Raw,
and we're saying it all.
that was practice.
By the way, I work at the Unpopular Opinion, but in the comments, I don't work on set. It's just to do that,
Welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you.
Please just let the people know who you are.
Hi, friends. My name is HILDAH, GLORIA, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm a big fan of the show. I am an education consultant at Study in Italy, and yes, I'm happy to be here.
Speaking of studying in Italy, how is that? Like, because I feel like in previous episodes, one of the previous episodes we talked about like work ethic, careers and stuff like that. And I feel like the fact that having exposure in other working environments that are not Ugandan, because I feel like with Uganda, it's a ripple effect. If you come and your boss is a bit, you're also going to be a bit, and the person under you is going to be, how have you felt that after studying and working in Europe? How has that affected your work ethic?
That's a very interesting question. First of all, it's a bit different. I would say it is different. And I would like to encourage anyone that gets the opportunity to, even if it's moving from your small village to the next one, to do it because it changes your perspective a lot. I enjoyed that episode and I commented a lot because I had a lot to say. Having worked in Europe for all my life and in Uganda for 3 weeks, I was a bit triggered by a few things. Yeah. Namely tardiness.
We're very
We are not very.
It's almost like our culture.
And then we don't give feedback. Like if there's something bad, if there's something, we dismiss.
Yeah.
If something is wrong with the company or with the service provider, we just dismiss instead of telling them I'm not happy with with what you did. Maybe if you could improve in such and such a way, or maybe my expectations were not met in such a way. So we just dismiss, and that encourages mediocrity. A lot of it. In the service industry, especially. So when somebody like me comes up and says, I expected, for instance, to spend just 1 hour in this hospital, but I've been here for 5 hours. Can you help me understand why? And, maybe you can do better in this way, giving like real, genuine feedback. People like snap, they get upset. Like, you don't come and tell us what to do at our jobs. I'm just giving you feedback. Somebody might have just gone and badmouthed the business and then probably lost customers. So we're not okay with that from both ends. So I really enjoyed that video. I enjoyed the episode. It is quite different, very, very different, apart from tardiness and people not accepting feedback or not willing to give feedback. The other thing is that we just accept what we're given. We do not like to negotiate. Exactly. We don't like to negotiate. Whether salaries, services, or even other benefits from work. In Uganda, we just say if we want to play safe, whereas you could actually negotiate and actually have something better. Usually, entrepreneurs from the entrepreneur perspective, we like to just save costs. If we can go away with giving you just as little as we can, we do that. We try to negotiate to do that. But if you stand up and say, this is what I offer, this is what my services are worth, we are ready to negotiate. You can't say, oh, this is what I was offered, and then, yes, I'll take it home and sign the contract. Hello, have you negotiated? Yeah. So those are some of the things, but yeah.
When you talk about how we're not even okay with getting feedback. So feedback, we take it badly.
Yes.
So I remember when I just started working in Europe as well, and there was a camera I was a teacher, so there was a camera in the classroom. Yeah. And in my Ugandan mind, no one's going to say anything. Mama, I pulled up my phone. I mean, it's not like the kids were like doing something. It's not like I had anything to do. They were having snack, I think. Anyway, they was doing something that they didn't need my input in. So I was there idle. And what do you do when you're idle? You pick up your phone and check your messages. So I picked up my phone. Now in the classroom, the camera is there. There are different points of cameras, so they could see me at every point. And I knew the camera was there, but I was just like, come on, no one is ever going to say anything about me being on a camera for 2 minutes. Mama, the next day, my manager came to me and told me that one of the parents told me that because the parents could plug into those cameras.
So that's wrong, though.
Yeah. So one of the parents, yeah, they could see. They could see. The parents could see that so they can log in at any time and see their kids. So the manager came and told me one of the parents let me know that you were on your phone.
For 2 minutes.
Yes, for however long. So yeah, she came and told me this is the first and last warning. Do not be on your phone in the classroom.
And how did you take that feedback?
It was like where she had abused me. Watch.
We're not used to.
I felt so bad. I almost wanted to identify which kid this was, so that not the kid. I would never punish the kid, but the parent. I need to know whose parent this is, so that I know, like who to avoid and what not, and stuff. And I also remember my colleague that I was working with in the same classroom. She came and told me, if you want to use your phone, do it there. Because that camera, that camera doesn't work. So that's what I do. So you see how we are constantly finding loopholes in the rules, because there's that specific rule is there for a reason. It's protecting me and it's protecting the children. So if I go, like if something had happened to the children while I was in that corridor, and they played the camera, and I wasn't in the room at that point, doesn't matter whether it was my fault or not, I would have been in a lot of trouble, even legally, So at that time I was too young and I just wanted to get what I wanted to get, and I didn't realize that the rules are there for a reason, It just reminded me of that and how you actually, right, Ugandans don't like getting feedback. And I know that another thing, I've just remembered at my school where the school I own, Blue Moon, parents often come and say, I'm so sorry, I'm always giving you, if there's something, because you guys, I love feedback. If it's constructive, I love it so much. However much it's not pleasant, you can feel like you get, but I love feedback because it tells you what to correct. Because what Ugandans usually do, they just up and leave without telling you anything, and where you think things are okay, kumbe your business is actually falling. So parents often come and apologize. Like if yesterday there was a problem and today there's a problem and the next day there's a problem, and they're like, Bambi, no, don't tell the teachers. I don't want them to treat my kids badly and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, this is not that kind of school. We want the feedback. We want you to be as comfortable as possible to know that your children are okay. So feedback is taken. Even the teachers are trained to take feedback, not as something bad, as something just to improve on. So
just to add on to what you said, do you realize how dishonest we are as Ugandans? Because you said that you knew that the loophole was the camera that wasn't working and you decided to go there. It comes up also in other businesses. For instance, I'll give an example. In this project, my project study in Italy, I brought on somebody to work locally in Uganda, and their goal was just so mean. Like, we have got, you don't come into the business to only get a salary or something, but like to bring it down, to bring the business down. I don't know about other entrepreneurs, but like sometimes you have staff that just want to, destroy the business. Exactly. Suck your blood, suck everything out of that. So I gave her the terms and conditions, what is expected of her and all that. She just made sure that she does the wrong thing, like intentionally doing the wrong thing. So for me, that goes on to say that, do we really appreciate that having a job is actually a blessing? There's so many people that don't have a job. It is actually a blessing to have somebody hire you, but I think we just take things for granted and do whatever we want. During the interview, this person was enthusiastic and they were looking forward, and I was really excited to have them on board. And then when they came, they were doing whatever they wanted. Packaging. Yeah, they did just whatever they wanted. They just did the wrong thing, so I had to let them go.
We have a culture of like laid back, like relaxed, like I'll just deal with this in the the time I can manage it, the time that I want, which is because I've never lived far away from home. Nairobi is the farthest that I have lived from my home, and but I feel like that it shifted for me so many things. Like even as we speak about work, my work ethic right now is not something I necessarily built from home. It's not that I was useless, no, but, but I feel like when I got there, I really got a sense of discipline. People move so much faster. And I realized, hey, God, we're moving slowly at home. Why are we moving this slowly? We actually need to be moving faster, have more of a sense of urgency. So that shifted for me, and I think it's serving me a lot even now. And like how has that shifted for you? Like, how do you feel like your work ethic? Well, maybe let me not say work ethic, but I guess just even in life, because that moving faster, I feel like also pours into other things. I have a lot more discipline for things that I set up. If there's a routine for this and that, I just do things, I feel, at a pace that is more, and it's not to say that we don't do it, guys. Please don't attack. But I'm just saying, generally, I find that we have difficulty with discipline and structure. Do you feel like like as far as how you, because I feel like even just observing you, the way you work, you're pretty disciplined. Do you think that just being exposed to a different environment altogether shifted something for you there?
Sure, it did. It got me, first of all, it placed me in the pool of like really different people from me. And the minute you get into a place where you are different, everybody has got different talents that they get to bring to the table. So you see how people are working, and then you check yourself. You sit down and reflect and be like, I'm not doing anything. This is like a world platform. I've gotten the chance, I've been blessed to sit on world platforms where they're world leaders. And really, you can't be playing any game except your A game. 100%. You can't be.
Snap on that.
No, you can't be. You can't be seated in a room with Anna Winter. You're talking about Milan Fashion Week and how the program is going to be, and you're late.
Absolutely not.
You are one out of 10,000 models that has been chosen, or influencers that have been chosen to work on this project. You have got to be on time if you want to be paid on time. The other thing is how to present yourself and how to brand yourself. I think branding is a very important factor. How you show up, clearly shows what you're about to talk about, basically. And if you mean business or you're just joking, if somebody invites you for something, let's say like an interview, put in the time to look nice. Put in the time to do the research. Put in the time to call to confirm that, is it at 9 a.m. today? Is it at 10 a.m. today? If you're going to be late, put in the time. This is all about branding. They will know that this is how this person works. And then they would love to invite you back. And the one time that you're given that chance, give it best. Because then those people are going to encourage you and they're going to recommend you. And from one person, you'll be meeting so many other people. But if you play about, they will think you're unserious. If you play about your brand, today you're early, the other day you're not early. Today you're dressed up nicely, the other day you're not trying your best. And then today you're speaking business, the other day you're attacking someone on a blog and saying trash and all of that. So if you want to be well composed and known to be that, please be that person. So I think it is something that I have learned, especially with that. And also in Europe, we're paid by the hour. So if you don't work,
you don't work, you don't eat.
You don't eat. So if they say it's 8 hours, if you work only 7 hours, you're getting 7 hours pay. That's it. No, your boss is not even going to ask you. You will just see on your pay slip that it's 7 hours, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you know how we are always, everyone like longs to go to Europe. But the people who are in Europe are usually like, it's not actually as it seems, as glamorous as it is. So from the things we hear about Europe, people in Europe, they always say it's hard and stuff like that. What are some of those benefits? I want you to tell us the benefits you've experienced from, first of all, studying in Europe.
Do you think we should hear both? The hard stuff and the good
Yeah,
stuff?
sure.
The hard stuff first, because I like to give that up.
Okay. Give us the hard stuff about studying in Europe.
The hard stuff is that I had to detach from so many friendships, beautiful friendships back home. And some of the family members, because, they call you up to a certain... I've been away for more than 15 years because I went to do my bachelor's and then my master's, and then now I work there. Things are not the same. The food doesn't taste the same anymore, sadly, but the water does. Ugandan water is the same.
It's constant.
Yes, it is constant. And lots of other things. You get to be challenged as a young Black woman. Let's not, forget about the patriarchal, hierarchy and systems in place. They're not only in Uganda, but also in Europe, where like pay is not the same, negotiation is not the same, no matter how brilliant, no matter how exposed, no matter how educated you might be with your male counterparts. It does happen. And also being a woman of color, it does happen sometimes. They will be like, immigrant, salary is different from national salary. So I feel those little things sometimes get to me. And before I turned 30, I had a really good position. So they would say, if I had something to say, they'd be like, that young Black woman. So when I turned 30, at least young is gone. But I cannot stop being a Black woman,
Right.
you know? So they keep on bringing those things in and they really bother me. The other thing is like, guys, let's talk about dating.
Hello.
Dating. Tell us.
It is a ghetto. Like, people need to stop glamorizing like the Mozungu from Europe. Yes, there are good relationships that have happened. Italian men can play, you guys.
We're only seeing the good ones.
You're only seeing the good ones. Like, some Italian men can really be like players, literally, and not just them.
I heard like everyone just seems to think Italians are romantic.
They are. They are
hot.
gorgeous.
So
They are
they're
gorgeous.
the darker version of white people. So
They are gorgeous. They are charming. They waste a lot of time. What am I doing dating for 5 years, 10 years? That's a lot of time, an absolute waste of time. I don't know. So yeah, the dating
talking stage for 5 years.
No, to be a girlfriend, they first of all give you a ring to be a girlfriend, but that can be like after a year. After a year, you don't really know you want to be my boyfriend or not, or you want me to be your girlfriend. That's a lot of time
There's a
wasted.
girlfriend ring.
Yeah, they proposed to you to be a girlfriend, and then they proposed to you to be
Wife.
Yeah. So if I came from Uganda thinking the first proposal is wife.
Right? Because
You call your relatives and say,
Bambwa uniform.
Just be like wifey. What wifey?
my girlie.
so do you put away the other ring after?
No. They just keep on piling.
So you wear like 3 rings.
Yeah. That could be like 10 years. But for some people, it's different. I understand it can be different, but just a few. Italians did for a long time. I don't know about the other European
I've
men.
noticed
I
as
think
well,
they want to- I think they
generally
want to
Europeans,
get
because
used to
I was in Ireland and they also
They
date.
did for a long time.
In fact, they first
They like
buy a
stories.
house together, they have children, and then they find
Yeah.
you find someone is big. People have been together for 15 years and they're not married. They
they're
have
not
kids and they have a
married,
home together, but they're not married. I thought
I think they love stories. You know, in Uganda, when we say the length of the relationship is not what doesn't matter, something of the sort. But like how deep, how connected you are. For them, it is the story. Sikema story. They call it the story. So we met at 16. That is glamorized a lot. And then we dated, and then we married, and then it's just too much. And for me, it's just rubbish. So that is something that I do not really appreciate in Europe. The other thing is that it's expensive to live in that continent. It's really it's not as glamorous. You know, when people see me going to, let's say, branches and getting ready and going to fashion week, they think this is my daily life. But it's actually not my daily life. This is like highlights of things. There are days when I'm like, will I ever afford to buy a home in this continent? Will I ever afford to have a family in this continent? It is expensive to live in Europe, basically. So I think that's why men don't want to marry, because they don't want the burden. Yeah. So those are some of the bad things, but the other things are a bit lighter. The good things. What do you guys expect? What do you think? What are the myths that you know about?
Me, I'm just remembering when you told me. Remember when we met and you were telling me how you were working a teaching job and you had like 120 days of paid leave at the year. I was like, is this when I leave? Is this my sign?
But do you want to study? Do you want to do education? Because the other jobs give only about that.
Of course, I asked myself all those other questions. I think it's a lie.
Yes, you do have all those days off. And the maternity leave is really good in Europe. It is 1 year, especially in Italy. If you're a teacher, even more. I mean, there's leave, paid leave. August is usually, a leave month, and it's paid. There's so many unemployment. Yeah. There's so many unemployment benefits. You could choose to stay away from work for 2 years and still keep your job. And then you could also, and then if you're fired from a job, you could be paid for 2 years, like to help you look for another job and to help you figure out your life. I mean, there's quite a bunch of things, free national health insurance, which is really good quality. Security, guys, security really matters. Like, to walk in a street and you can vlog and you're not worried about someone snatching your phone is such good security. To walk on the street at 10 p.m. as a girl,
But
as a
that's
black woman.
in like a few places,
In-
not so many
Not
places.
not all European places,
Not all,
yeah.
yeah.
Like I'm talking about Italy and Milan. You're right. Yeah, it comes on time. If they say on the 10th, it comes on the 10th. I think they do the automatic what do they call them? Automated pay. Like, so every day on the 10th it comes, or on the 1st it comes. So and also there's a bit of humility with when it comes to hierarchies, bosses and employees.
Do you know, I've noticed that even with, I see it in, like, now that my work is so sort of fluid, and I've had an opportunity like to work, of course, with plenty of Ugandans, but then also like being places where maybe you have a short term thing that's with like some people, some of them are European or whatever. There's a way you can't know who is the boss.
Yes, they make
It's
it
only
easy.
the employees who tell you that's the boss. The boss is just so chill. He's just
I tried doing that when I just come back. I'm bringing all these things. Mom, I was schooled. I was, because I loved it. I loved the fact that I was free and stuff like that, and that's what the culture I really wanted to bring in my school, that there is no boss. There's the boss is, it's not clear, because that's experience I really enjoyed.
Yeah, you have to be boss lady.
Lord, if you so much as be as friendly, you get that is a reason to be late, a reason to not hand in assignments, projects are late, everything is, you get, because you smile at your friends.
So from my bosses, and something that I really would like to copy and implement in my projects and my future businesses, is they are in a position to serve you as a team, not the other way around. You're not bringing them coffees or anything. They try and serve you. They ask you, are you doing okay? Instead of you trying to say, oh, is the manager doing okay? Or is the boss doing okay? So they're like, oh, how can we support you to grow this? What else are you happy? That question really matters, guys. Are you happy? Does matter. So they always ask, are you happy? And then of course you cry if you want to cry.
I think also another thing I really found interesting about people, even the people who move here, that they've worked from abroad, they just make such better employees. They make better employees, because, and it doesn't matter if they've even studied in the field. For some reason, they are more able to be creative in different fields than people who have only studied in Uganda. Does that make sense? So there's a time I hired this girl. She was from the UK, Ugandan, and she had studied there and stuff, and she had studied over IT, but she was looking for a job, and I hired her. She was a much better teacher. You get than trained teachers. She was able to adapt really quickly. One of my best teachers was actually one of the best teachers I've ever experienced, and she learned in a very short time. In the beginning, she didn't know what to do but she knew how to handle children. So she was a pediatric, not pediatric. She was a nurse that was dealing with children with special needs. She was a special needs nurse, kids nurse. She made the most fantastic teacher. She made the most fantastic. All I did was give her. I never even trained her or anything. She had a rough week to begin with, and then we sat down. I saw her challenges. I say, for this challenge, do like this. For this challenge, do like this. I've never spoken to her again.
Wow.
You get, and so the adaptability, we don't have much adaptability
because we're
Ugandans.
comfortable.
We're very rigid.
No, but also because we're comfortable. You would find that I live in Entebbe. I was born in Entebbe, and honestly, for me to live in Entebbe was because I was going to school in Kampala, but I never really left the place. We're not as comfortable, and we're not as outgoing or as curious to know what's on the other side.
That's a good one. Because even, if you stay in the same place, when do you ever explore?
Yes, or you see the same people, relatives, friends, neighbors.
Do you think that also, like living abroad, studying abroad, living abroad, working abroad, helped you? Well, anyway, let me ask how, not to lead you with the question, but how did it help you just become more independent?
Oh my God.
I know. Wait, are you a firstborn?
Yes.
You are. Okay, but you're like super close to your mom.
I am a mommy's girl. Never left my home. Never went to boarding school. I only went to boarding school in P7 and in S6. In Uganda.
Ooh, how was that shift of like one day you're with your mother? And then
I cried for a month. I thought that if I cried at the airport, she would say come back, but no, she didn't. So when I went to Egypt, I cried a lot. But she said, yeah, you will be fine. I think now she tells me, in hindsight, I see that it was for the benefit.
She was still being strong for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if she had cried, it would have been so much worse.
Exactly. So she let me go, and that I think is the best decision she's ever made for both of us. Because now I appreciate her more. Our relationship has improved. I was that clingy, crying, help me. And she also did it. Like, she came everywhere. Literally, if she had not let me go abroad, she'd be here with us filming. Yeah. So she came everywhere. But I started to do things on my own. I got used to it. Right now, I clean, cook, work, do everything on my own. And also, like, thinking independently, it helps. Because then I would be like, Mommy, where is this? Mommy, how do I do this? Mommy, how do I do that? But now I get to actually use my brain. And think, oh, what should I think?
Solving.
Exactly. What should I do? Parents think that they are loving us by being so clingy or being so helpful, but I think they just need to let us be sometimes. Yeah. She made the decisions to do. My mom wrote the letter for my scholarship application. That's
How
Yeah.
involved
she is.
she was.
She was.
Yeah.
When I went for the interview, she came. All the other students had just themselves, and then my mom was at the door. But
So I think now obviously a lot of people are wondering and saying most of us can't afford to go to university abroad, which you understand.
yes.
And I know you're an education consultant. Like, can you give us just, first of all, are there study scholarships? Because we think in Uganda that scholarships are reserved for a certain group of people that are more privileged. I won't go into who we're talking about, but we believe that, and most people don't even try. Actually, more than 90% of Ugandans don't even try to go to apply for scholarships because they believe that scholarships are only given if you have a special connection to whatever university, in terms of who your father is, who your uncle is, and
Your grades.
things like that. And I'd like you to shed light on that. Is that true?
It is partly true, because then if you know someone and then that person is exposed, then they will know the information.
No, what I mean is that people think that only
No.
connected people,
No.
in that I call, you're my friend, I call your mother to call the dean of the university
No.
to give me a scholarship.
No. When people approach me with this question, I usually tell them the story of how I got my bachelor's degree scholarship.
Yeah.
It was in the newspapers. And my mom saw it in her office, and her colleagues laughed. They were like, Minister of Education has already chosen their people. Don't even bother. My mom was like, let me try. And if they say no, that's okay. And before I knew it, I was shortlisted, interviewed, shortlisted again, interviewed, and I got my scholarship like that. So if there is any information lying around in newspapers, in rumors, on social media, give it a try. Yes, you never know. You never know. So to answer your question, no. There's so many, of course, even though you might not be that wealthy, there's so many scholarships that you could apply for. You don't really have to be connected, because European universities don't care who you are. It heavily depends on how good you are, grade-wise, if you got the minimum requirement grade, your experience, and your interest in creating a social impact on society. So it's not just getting a first-class degree and you're very selfish, you've never done any internship, any voluntary work. You don't intend to come back and help your society in a way. That is always what they're looking for when you write a motivation letter and all these things.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not just excellent grades.
How poorly you grew up.
Exactly, not how poorly you grew up. No. So I usually tell my candidates, please do not write about how poorly you've grown, how you couldn't afford dinner, because that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for the things that you have. Brag about the things that you've achieved. I have been able to self-teach myself how to code. That is a great skill. I have been able to teach myself a language, and I want to use these
skills to do this. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just. I think we need to stop self-pitying ourselves, and then going out there. Exactly. Very many people write to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm a single mother," and blah blah blah. I'm like, "Lady, you studied? What are your most recent qualifications? Okay. Have you worked before? No, I haven't worked. What have you been doing in this time? I have been farming. Okay. Have you gone to the farm every day? Yes. Okay. The zeal to actually wake up every day and go to work is discipline. Put that on your CV. Okay. I have been on the farm, but who has been selling the goods? Me. That's customer relationship management. Put it on your CV. Have you sold? That's marketing.
You're marketing yourself.
Exactly. I have been selling to this same family. That's customer relationship management. You've done that, I have been, farming, and I'm like, oh, do you know the seasons and all of that? that is such wealth that people don't talk about. And they're always like, oh, if you're not doing an office job, you can't write that on your CV. No.
Yeah, that's actually that's very
The experience that
Good
you have gone
information.
through, the experience that you've gone through is what is going to shape you to make a wonderful profile for your scholarship application, and that is what is going to
There's mostly a lack of guidance also.
It is
We
lack of
don't
information,
know.
lack of guidance.
Like we
yes.
don't know what to put on this paper. We're
Exactly.
telling you be the poor guy from over where. That's how they'll. That's
They
what
will be telling you.
works. So we don't know. We actually don't have guidance. Which I mean, it would also be good for our audience to learn a little bit about what you do at study in Italy, because I remember how long ago when I wanted to apply for a master's, back when I still felt like that was the thing I was going to. I didn't even know exactly, but I had kind of zeroed in whatever, and I applied for this thing. I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember it's only after that a friend of mine told me, why didn't you go to a guide, like a proper career guide person who will tell you what you're supposed to put in there? I could have actually gotten that thing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to wing it almost because I didn't have the skills. So anyway, before I go far with that story, but share with us a little bit about what studying in Italy is and what kind of opportunities it presents for young people, especially.
African people. So it is a consultancy, an education consultancy for higher education, and we help African students get scholarships and study programs in Europe. I like to say study programs also because we do have clients that want to pay for themselves.
Okay.
Yes. Also, I want to let you know that in some European universities, tuition is cheaper than in Uganda or in East Africa or in African universities in general. Basically what we do is give you the career guidance, because I think majority of our clients come to us saying, I don't know what to do. That is the biggest question we get. And we like to give you that consultation call to guide you on what you would like to be. We ask questions like, what excites you? What would you like to be? Where do you see yourself in maybe in the next 2 years? Everything else you've studied, what didn't you like? And why did you not like it? So that we make sure that we know what the problem is, one of the problems that we face is, parental input. They're always the ones that say, you have to do law, you have got to do medicine, you have got to do this. And then
then
don't
you write a motivation letter that is not motivated.
How do you write, right? So they're always like, I want to do law, but you're actually not really wanting to do law. So I always ask them, do you really want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? Or do you have, any forces coming behind you? I want you to be honest. So I give them a safe space for them to let me know what they would really like to do. Because if you'd like to do something, then you give it extra effort and input. I've got candidates where parents pay and they disappear after paying. They don't care, about the next steps. So we do have that call that we give you. It's usually online or in person now that I'm in Uganda. And after that, we guide you. We have got application packages where we guide you with the application process. I think that is one of the hardest things. I didn't know when I was developing this product, but I think it's the hardest thing, like to apply. Given that European countries and universities have got different languages, so the portals are in different languages, and just to find that English button there, people can't find it. So people need that guidance. People need to know, what should I bring to Europe in case I get a scholarship? What should I pack? I usually tell them, bring a blanket. And they laugh. They're like, and they're blankets. But it's going to be 200 euros. And as a student, getting 200 euros from your pocket money is a lot of money. I tell them, bring braids for the ladies, because it is about 150 euros to plait this hair in Europe. That's something like 600,000. So I usually tell them, bring your braids, and if you know how to do hair, do it. I usually encourage them, people who are like me, to take a trip away from their family, maybe for a weekend, to start slowly like that, so that they don't suffer a lot from separation anxiety. And don't cry, and so we give them that step by step guidance to make their application and their settlement there a bit easier. We also help them with a study visa guidance, because it's also another problem. Like, I don't know why they always deny people study visas even though they've gotten the opportunity. I think it's unfair, but that's maybe a topic for another day. So we guide them on how to do it the right way, so that they increase their chances of getting them.
Okay. And so when everyone knows I went to India at some point. That's the first place I ever went to uni for, and we were taken by a consultant. Hey, what a story. So we find a consultant here and stuff, and he convinces my parents, here's a metropolitan city, which it was really, I love my experience in India, but the first couple of months, Bangalore. So so but the first couple of months were tough. So what happens is that he's taking people. So he'll come here and then he'll take a whole lot of people at the same time. So he promises that your parents give him like 500. I don't remember how much it was. Let's say, for example, $500 for the first month. Yeah, it will cater for food. Your accommodation is going to give you good accommodation and whatnot and all this. And then the balance when you're leaving, when he gets you settled, he'll use some of the balance too. Like if you get an apartment and stuff. So because most of us didn't live on campus, we had apartments. So what happened now? We go and you get to the place and the nice comfortable apartment he has promised is actually his house. And you have beds, like 12 beds in the living room, in the corridor, and there are deckers, and you're like on the top floor. Now, I have never been to boarding school. Can you imagine how traumatized I was?
It's like 10 times worse.
Yeah, but I'm the firstborn girl, so I usually don't. I usually solve my own problems. Fortunately, Kajanja was never beaten out of me. So unlike my other, everyone else took a while to catch on. And when they caught on, they didn't have the courage to call it out. But when I caught on to what's happening, because I thought, okay, this is just for one day, because I arrived at night, and stuff, then 1 week goes by, another week is going by, and I'm like, I'm on a decker in a living room. I've never slept on a decker.
From international school in
So I fought for him to give me money so I can get an apartment somewhere near my university. Fortunately, I went before university that the school started. And I didn't tell my parents. I did threaten. I told him I'm going to tell my parents if you don't give me my money. And then he told me, then he was like, all your money is finished. I was like, $500? Please count it for me. How much is beans? How much is this? How much? Because we used to eat. We thought we were going to eat. We were eating beans and rice. I was like, obviously. I mean, I understand it now. You take advantage where you take I mean, he took advantage. So now I see how an adult could have taken advantage of young children from good families. And not all of us were actually from very, 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 but so I didn't like it. I hate injustice. I don't like injustice. So I tried to fight for everyone else, but everyone was like, I can't believe it. So I got my own apartment and left. So what I'm trying to come at here is a lot of people are like that. Some people even just disappear without giving anything to you. So how do you actually even go to tuition part and he hadn't paid our tuition? We're about to get the exams. Fortunately, again, I have a lot of kajanja. I said, I ask questions even to adults. So I was able to get him to pay that tuition, the half of the tuition that he had paid. So what we thought was there was only just another half for the term, for the semester, but he had not paid a single thing. So they come and call in the class.
You're there.
Yeah, you're part of there. So how do you avoid? First of all, does it still happen? Of course,
it does. Very many people have come to us, saying, "Can you tell us how you're not a scam, just like everybody else?"
Legitimate.
Exactly. They question the legitimacy and authenticity of the project. And yes, there are people still like that, which is a shame, and they make it really bad for us and difficult for us because people are like shocked. Is that called shocked? What is the word in English? People have experienced that and they don't want to open up again. To all these brilliant opportunities. They don't trust
people.
Exactly. But also it also comes to question, as a candidate, as a person who is seeking out these services, you have to do some work. Before you actually entrust people. You don't just give $500 to a person who's never been in a country. If I came and told you I want to take you to Canada to study, would you accept me?
No.
With my profile? I have never studied in Canada, number one. How do I know how things work in Canada? I don't know about the immigration laws and everything. But you have got to seek out people that have done, the journey.
Yeah.
It's easier to trust them because they've gone through it. And if you've gone through it, you're not going to play games about people's futures because you know how hard it is. Hard.
I think I also really like the fact that you have branded your business with a lot of human touch.
Yeah.
So it's easier to trust you who we see than to trust flyers, because a lot of consultants have pages that have flyers,
Yeah.
you know, and flyer after and random photo from the internet of New York, you know, study in New York and whatnot. But you have actually showed us, first of all, you've given us your real story.
Yeah.
You've shown us your life in Italy.
Yeah.
You've told us what you've struggled with. You've given us the good and the bad, which I feel like is such a good thing to look out for when you are choosing consultants to work with. Like, we're no longer in the age of blind trust. You need to do research on the company, on the people you are trusting your career, you know, your money with. Yeah.
Another red flag that I would give is that if people want to charge you exorbitant fees, do not believe them.
I don't know what exorbitant is.
An air ticket to Europe is 600 euros a return.
Yeah,
you know,
can
600
get-
euros is
yeah.
like 2.4 million Ugandan shillings. Okay. And usually they don't even buy you the air ticket. We don't buy the air ticket. But if I start to charge you, let's say 20 million Ugandan shillings, what is that for? Have some questions, break it down and see if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I tell you that I'm charging you, let's say 3 million to apply, to guide you throughout the year, that is a bit reasonable. And then, you know, to get you throughout the whole process, ask for this information before you actually entrust the money.
Yeah.
Ask
Don't
questions.
take 20 million and give it to someone, you know?
Who has not explained what it's going to do,
Yeah.
who has not broken it down. If somebody tells you it includes accommodation, ask for the photos, ask for videos, call the landlord,
The invoices.
ask for the contract, to see the contract.
What
Because
about,
I know people that have scammed, and when they get to Europe, the accommodation is not there.
what about people who say that I can get this information on Google?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, information is available, readily available on Google. I used Google, but I struggled like 10 times more.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. First of all, it's in languages we don't understand.
And it's
then
not
even the English they use is so scholastic
Yes.
for our basic
And Google
Ugandan
Translate is so
English.
bad, yeah. So basically, we make the job easier.
Yeah.
It's not that what we're doing is not available, but we make it easier. There's so many things that I don't say online that are not in Google, but that my cohort can tell you. For instance, if somebody's stressed at 3 a.m. and because they cannot find a button, let's say a submit button, it's in Italian, and they ring me and I wake up and, you know, click that. I'm not recording that, but that's a service.
Yeah.
That's a service. They've beaten the deadline, they've beaten the stress,
Yeah.
and they've also got the moral support.
But also
You
things
know?
like when you get there, where do you live?
Yeah.
You know, all that information, yes, is in English, but you won't really understand.
Yeah.
Here in Uganda, living, saying like you're going to drive from, let's say, we're so used to driving in traffic
Yeah.
or traveling in traffic, but what it means to be in traffic in Europe
It's
is
different.
completely different. You can't be late, you
No.
know, or if we do have borders here. So if you might, the mentality, you know, we have borders here, but if they tell you the train leaves you there and you walk a kilometer, but you've already paid a year's
Rent.
you know, or a
Yeah.
6-month rent. So that means you're going to walk a kilometer from the train. And I remember when I first went to South Africa, I did it myself, but I was robbed. First of all, I was taken. The place we paid for was, we paid 6 months in a place that was dingy, and you know South Africa. You can't.
Was it safe?
It wasn't safe. It was an unsafe area, you know. And then I got to the place and they had shown us pictures of a pool. But that pool, I swear, when I got there, that pool had last been cleaned probably like 5 years prior. You get. And then I asked for a refund. And the guy refused. And then he showed me he was a policeman. And by the way, he was a police. I don't know if he was a real policeman. I don't know.
We don't know.
So I just said, I can't live here.
Yeah.
I can't live here. So we went, the 6 months died. You get. I can't live. So we had to find another plan and find more money. You get, because this is an unsafe place. I didn't know at that time when I decided I can't live here. But just from the pool and how dirty and just unlivable the place was, I couldn't live there. You get. So if I had someone like you who's going to say, okay, university estates are, and by the way, the next town was a university estate. It was, by the way, very good proximity to the
Universities and
exactly.
schools, yeah.
You get what I mean?
And usually they're cheaper. Than
Exactly.
the
So it's a
accommodations.
very good, 5 minutes away. And that's why we chose it, because it's good. The pictures looked good and stuff like, it's just a 5-minute taxi away, and But then if I had someone like you to say, no, don't live in Observatory, there's a place called Observatory in Cape Town. And then, so a few weeks later, we moved to a place called Rondebosch, you know, right, which is actually a really, really good neighborhood. And yet they're like, Kansangan, Kabalaga.
Lucky enough, you had your sister, but imagine if you're alone.
Yeah.
It could be dangerous to you.
Yeah.
It could be dangerous, yeah. Especially if you're a woman.
I went first. I always go first. I went first. Yes, I went first. So I was alone. I was actually alone, but because I had lived such a protected life, I had no idea how much danger I was in.
Yeah. So those things happen. We do have a candidate that was scammed of 1 year worth of rent, and each month was 700 euros. So you can do the maths.
Anyway.
It is tough. It's just that you have got to get into the nitty-gritties of reading the contract. I recently had to go to the Netherlands to go and check out the accommodation. Is it there? I went with a Dutch friend. Can you read the contract? What does it say? Translate it in English. Let him sign the English version. Like those little, expenses that we put in, or the little care that we add to help our candidates really makes them safe. Because I would rather spend 200 euros from my bank account than let my candidate spend 5,000 euros stolen.
Little things, by the way.
Yeah.
Actually big
You know?
things, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest,
So as we wrap up this episode, this has been such an amazing. So if you want scholarships, please don't just first of all contact her.
Yeah.
She knows where all the good ones are. And we've all seen her success stories and people who have actually gotten into universities because of you. You've been very open about that, and it does pull even me, who's not a scholar. Yeah, I have been like, oh, can I maybe go for a 1 year or 2 years?
Yeah, I feel like the same.
And yet I have things keeping me here. I can't go. But yeah, so guys, please reach out to HILDAH on Instagram @study in Italy. Is there an underscore?
Yes. It's going to be in the description box, or could I write it in
we'll put it in the description box.
And
Go
also the
follow her.
contact. Yeah.
Even if you're still skeptical, but it's a dream of yours to study in Europe, contact her and just go follow her and see her content. It will help you build that relationship with her, that maybe you might decide next intake you are going in and you're going to take the chance on it. So yeah.
Younger.
Yeah, especially if you're younger.
People, you guys, I wish that we had.
Yeah.
But you still have a chance.
True, I'm not saying
It gets
that it's
harder.
over for
It
us.
gets harder when you're like
It's
40,
different.
Yeah.
40 and above.
It gets harder.
Mm.
So I mean, the younger you are, the better. Subscribe.
Always. Like the video.
Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let us know. Is it a dream of yours to study in Europe? Let us know in the description box. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.